भज गौरांगो कहो गौरांग लहो गौरांगेर नाम रे भज गौरांगो कहो गौरांगो कहो लहो गौरांगेर नाम रे ये जन गौरांगो बाजे से अमर प्राण रे भज गौरांगो कहो गौरांगो लहो गौरांगेर नाम रे ये जन गौरांगो बाजे से अमर प्राण रे भज गौरांगो कहो गौरांगो लहो गौरांगेर नाम रे जय जन गौरांगो बाजे से अमर प्राण रे गौरांगो बुलिया दुबाहु तुलिया नचिया नचिया बेराम रे गौरांगो बुलिया दुबाहु तुलिया नचिया नचिया बेराम रे भज गौरांगो कहो गौरांगो लहो गौरांगेर नाम रे ये जन गौरांगो बाजे से अमर प्राण रे गौरांगो भजिले गौरांगो जपिले दुखे हो अब शान रे गौरांगो भजिले गौरांगो जपिले होई दुखे रो अब शान रे भज गौरांगो कहो गौरांगो लहो गौरांगेर नाम रे ये जन गौरांगो बाजे से अमर प्राण रे हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी
हरे कृष्ण माता
one request can you give in the WhatsApp that yesterday's kirtan Bajar Dev
अच्छा that one morning
nice if you
you are talking about Samsara Dava Mataji
Bajar aisa ek kirtan
okay
yesterday Prabhuji sang very well that Bajar a kirtan.
Acha,
Prabhupada's
can somebody remember what was the kirtan yesterday? We said?
Bengali kirtan. That
Okay, okay. Sure, Mataji. I sent you already the video.
that is
Yesterday's class video is there.
okay. Then
Maybe that was missed, Mataji. I will send it again.
only that lyrics only we get it, so then we can also.
Yes, Mataji. These songs are so touching to the heart. Yes, Mataji.
That's why. Thank you, Prabhu.
In fact, these songs were not written by normal people. They were exalted devotees.
Okay.
So they are Vaishnavas. So the bhav they possess in these songs are, sometimes I feel that the entire Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam Sar is there in these songs. Such a elevated songs. Very nice, Mata. Sure.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Okay. Okay, sorry. So let's go ahead with our okay, so here we are. Okay, so let's quickly see what we did yesterday. So in chapter 6, Krishna says that one who serves and thinks of Krishna, he is the topmost yogi. So that is what Krishna said, and he introduced Bhakti Yoga in the 6.47. Now, how to attain such constant remembrance of Krishna is what we discussed yesterday. So can somebody tell me in just what was the discussion yesterday, and how did we, anybody, what did you collect from yesterday?
Salai, Prabhuji?
Yeah, go ahead, Mataji. I was waiting for anybody.
The acronym was HEAD.
Okay.
H for hearing, E for everywhere, A for accept or reject, and D for demigods.
Oh, wow. Very nice. Thorough preparation, Premlata Mataji. Thank you so much. Okay. So yesterday we discussed about the hearing part, right? So, and why Krishna was emphasizing on hearing? Anybody? What is the importance of hearing based on yesterday's discussion? Any points that, see, keep a notebook with you, make some important points, write it down, because retention is more. And this spiritual knowledge, what happens is that you tend to forget very fast. So it's always good to write and revise. That way it retains, or ask more questions. That way also you can remember things. So yeah, anybody wanted to just tell just about yesterday.
Basically we spoke, Prabhuji, we spoke about the 4 fortunate and 4 unfortunate people.
Oh, you are preparing so much for other exam, I think. I did not speak on that. Did I speak about 4 unfortunate or fortunate people? I don't think so. Anyways, you might be reading a lot.
Tachrunu.
Tachrunu, yes.
Hear about Lord.
Okay. And
Shravanam Kirtanam.
What else? So this class would not be like I am coming here and telling. So definitely no. I want you to participate. I want you to see to it that you understood something and you are repeating at least some 25 to 30% at least. Yes.
Prabhuji,
we also discussed, Prabhuji, that hearing is the first sense which gets activated
okay.
when a baby is conceived, and it is the last sense which is shut down when somebody leaves this material
Very
world.
nice, Prabhu. Yeah. Any other thing that you remember?
Ultimate goal is we should always remember Lord.
Why should you remember Lord ultimate? Why? Why one should remember Lord? I can remember my wife, I can remember my husband, I can remember my children. Why only Lord I should remember?
It,
Because if
if,
you,
okay, Prabhuji, carry on.
no, go ahead, Malcolm.
Prabhuji, if we remember others, it won't help us to take back to Godhead. If we remember Krishna, then only at the time of our death, we'll definitely remember him so that it leads us to go back to Godhead.
Okay. Is Krishna very selfish kind of person? He wants to remember only him, no other person. Is it something like that? I'm just
Actually,
asking.
the present fact is we are created by him. We are the servants of him. So we have to serve him. So that we have to remember him.
Okay. Any other devotee like to add anything to this? Yeah, Venkat Prabhu, you are saying something.
Dr. Lata Mataji put it in chat box, Prabhu.
Okay. We are lost in this material world. Okay.
Because we are part and parcel.
Yes, we are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. That's what probably she might have said. Okay, good. Anything else?
The same thing I was also trying to say. We are same qualitatively, but not quantitatively. So because we are indirectly part and parcel of him, so we should always remember.
Okay. Now let me ask you one thing. I'm not going into subject matters that much, but just wanted to ask you, why should we know, or why should, now Krishna is in this particular section of Bhakti Yoga, Krishna is trying to give what? What do you think he's going to give you in the next 6 chapters?
How to reach him through devotional service, Prabhuji.
Okay. For that, what should he give you or tell you or reveal? What?
About the truth of him, about him completely.
Yes.
To know him completely.
So he should give you full knowledge, right? So that is what, see, one should be clear about the objectives of this particular section. Krishna is trying to give full information. Okay, why he should only give this full information? He could have.
If I want to reveal myself, I should talk. So if Krishna want to reveal himself, he should talk. Otherwise,
Because
we won't get complete.
As you said, there is no other person higher than him. So, and
Yes.
If you wanted to know about him, he is the only person who can tell. Because if there is anybody higher than him, he can, that person can tell about Krishna. But there is no other person higher than him, so he has to reveal. Okay, some in Bhagavad Gita you will see that a lot many places Krishna would say that this is what I am the controller, I am the maintainer, and all these things he will be telling. The context of I will be there. Because some people say that why Krishna is so selfish, but basically if he is not going to tell you the facts, as Malti Mataji said, tell you the absolute truth, that who is he, who is going to tell? He has to tell in that way only, right? So now the knowledge of the absolute truth, most things in our life require some kind of a research. Okay, while we may value based on our gut feelings, but we simultaneously utilize our intelligence and exercise discrimination. But what happens is that in terms of when it comes to spirituality, it is not the same. Your intelligence, your exercise of discrimination may not work most of the time. That is the reason why some people may call this as sentimental. I'm telling you because this is the important chapter, and the next few sections, this section would be more based on what Krishna is telling, and you are going to take it based on the faith. Okay, and some people may say this is a sentimental impulse or practice which you don't have to utilize your intelligence and other faculty, but it is not true. But again, what I'm trying to bring in here is that spiritual knowledge has to come from the absolute source, and from disciplic succession. The importance of that is what I'm trying to emphasize. Because unless and until it is coming from the disciplic succession, some person may use his intelligence and interpret it, which may not be correct. So that is the reason why it is very important that it has to come from a disciplic succession. And this knowledge is not going to be based on somebody's intelligence. It is coming from the, what do you call it, as top-down approach, not bottom-up approach. So top-down approach is basically Krishna has got all the information and it is coming through disciplic succession. Unlike your mundane material knowledge, which most of the scientific endeavors are there, it is bottom-up approach. Bottom-up approach meaning, can somebody tell what is bottom-up approach? I think most of you have this little bit of understanding, but again, what is bottom-up approach?
Means anyone can make anytime any changes, Prabhuji.
Right, very nice. Can somebody give more from a Nobel Prize point of view? When do you get a Nobel Prize? Especially in science and technology area. See, in science and technology area, those people get Nobel Prize most of the time is that if he has disproved his previous predecessor, then he is going to get a Nobel Prize. So that means you have to, Einstein got a Nobel Prize when he disproved that Newton laws do not work in this kind of context. So he got a Nobel Prize. So it's a bottom-up approach, meaning that unlike our spiritual knowledge do not need any research R&D work. It's already done. So you don't have to do any endeavor. You just have to take it as it is coming. So that is one thing I wanted to say. So in this chapter entitled The Knowledge of Absolute, Krishna delineates certain philosophical truths to instill confidence and conviction in the process of Bhakti Yoga. So he is going to give you these philosophical truths. That is what you need to grasp and get it. So let's dig deeper into the subject matter. So yesterday, the knowledge of the absolute, why we need to have this kind of a mindset is because see, religion without philosophy, we can say it as simply sentiment, and in more accurate situation, which will take down to a fanatic kind of a situation, right? So that's the reason why Krishna wants to delineate certain philosophical truths and instill confidence and conviction in the process of Bhakti Yoga, because you shouldn't become sentimental and fanatic. So that is what is Krishna is trying to reveal in such great detail. Okay. Now let me. Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm just taking a little time.
Prabhuji, please share the screen, Prabhuji.
Oh, screen is not shared? Okay. Let me do that. I think let me share the screen. I don't know what happened. Just give me 1 second. Something. Okay. So yesterday we discussed about all this. I think it is visible right now.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes,
Okay.
Prabhu.
So the importance of hearing was what was emphasized in this particular sloka of 1. And as I told you, the entire Bhagavad Gita you can understand by this one sloka itself. That's the beauty about Krishna, the way he puts it. So the process of remembering Krishna or your mind getting attached to Krishna is what is revealed here. First is Tat Shrunu, hear about Lord Krishna. That's hearing is what is very important. If you have not done anything, doesn't matter. Just hear about Krishna. And when you are doing chanting, what is the most of the time what we say when you are doing chanting? What to do? Can somebody tell? what are we supposed to be focused on when we are doing chanting?
We should hear.
Hearing
Hear.
Hearing.
So just hearing, when you are saying Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, just hear, Takshrunu. And once Krishna's name is non-different than the Supreme Lord, so that will really give you the required knowledge, whatever, such that Krishna can reveal to sincere devotees again. So he doesn't really reveal like everything to everyone. He will reveal only to the extent he is really putting his sincerity. That's what it is. And the difference between a devotee to devotee, I would say that it's more to do with the cobbler and a brahmana. You remember, right?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Nobody remembers cobbler and a brahmana.
Yes, Prabhuji, yes.
You do remember, right? Where Narad Muni says that
Yes.
what was Sri Mahavishnu doing? He was sending an elephant through a needle.
Yes, Prabhu.
How
Needle.
did,
Yes, Prabhuji, needle.
yeah, and how did the Brahmana react?
He thought it is fake. He did not have faith on it.
Impossible for
Prabhuji, the video is stuck in Prabhuji.
Oh, is it? I don't know, Mataji. Okay, is that okay, Gordhan Prabhu, now?
Now it is okay.
Oh, okay, okay. There is some problem with it. I don't know. Take care. So, yeah. So we discussed all this. So basically what I was trying to reveal is that you'll become free from all doubts and you will have complete faith on the Supreme Lord. That's how we will become at when we start hearing about Supreme Lord. That is Krishna. Okay. So we discussed about Gnana and Vijnana. Can you mute Gordhan Prabhu? Others?
Yes, Prabhu.
So, so Lord Krishna explains the full knowledge, the phenomenal knowledge, and the numinous knowledge. The phenomenal knowledge meaning the gnana which is related to, or the knowledge related to the material is called gnana here, and the knowledge related to the spiritual is called vijnana here. Okay, so the other context what we can also tell is that the realized knowledge is vijnana and general knowledge is called gnana. So that's also is correct, but in this context is that vijnana means knowledge about the spiritual aspects, knowledge about the spirit, not acquired through senses, objects as it is not necessarily pursued by senses. And the Supreme Lord is the controller of both the material as well as the spiritual. So that is what is revealed. And the qualification to understand this knowledge is that you need to be a devotee. Or in any other way, you need to be, so in whatever way, right? And we know that Lord Krishna is the cause of all causes, source of all knowledge, only object of meditation for all yoga process. And we have seen yesterday also, Manushyanam Sahasreshu Kachid Yatati Siddhaye Yatatamapi Siddhanam Kaschin Mam Veti Tatvataha. Out of many thousands among men, one may endeavor for perfection and And of those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. Why is that? It is the so much stringent conditions Krishna is putting so that only one or two people will go there. Not many will go. That's what is kind of revealed. Manushyanam sahasreshu. Among many thousands of men, one may endeavor for perfection, and out of it, perfection will be achieved by few. And out of those perfected people, hardly one knows me in truth. So what is our condition now? What do you think? Why is that such a stringent, stringently Krishna has put this entire thing? He could have reduced the bar, whatever is the bar. Why is he not done it? Anybody? What do you think? Mataji's, Prabhuji's. No answers. Any wild guesses? Malti Mataji.
Prabhuji,
Yeah.
Prabhuji, the reasons can be so many based on their karma, based on their intelligence, based on their freedom of intelligence, how they used acquiring the knowledge.
Okay.
Krishna gives the freedom to understand him. So they use their intelligence according to their wish, according to their jiva's wish.
Any other thing?
So that is why it is different.
Yeah, thank you, Mataji. Gordon Prabhu, you were saying something?
Yes, Prabhu. Actually, Krishna wants make us to perfect, Prabhu, so that we can reach to.
Your voice is breaking, Prabhu. We couldn't really follow Gordon Prabhu. Okay, we'll get him later. Behra Prabhu, what do you think?
Yeah, Prabhu. Can you hear me, Prabhu?
Yeah. Go ahead, Prabhu.
Actually, Krishna main intention is we have to understand him completely so that we can reach to Golaka Vrindavan and we will not come back again. With the with help of our Anardas, we have come into this world. We want to completely fulfill it so that we can reach to Golaka Vrindavan.
Okay.
Otherwise,
Okay.
there is me fall down again.
Good one, Prabhu. Good. So, yeah, Manoj Kumar Behra Prabhu, what do you think? After that, Preeti Mataji.
Yeah, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. What do you think? Why Krishna has put the bar so high?
Yeah, because by birth, everybody is having animalistic propensities, like eating, sleeping, mating, defending. So we have to come out from the comfort zone, and it is very difficult to come out from the material attachment. Then only we should be able to understand Krishna. So it is not so easy for the common persons without some punya or some ajnata sakruti to get into this. So we should be fortunate that we are also lucky to be associated with you, sir, Prabhuji.
Okay. So, Preeti Mataji, you are saying something?
Same, Prabhuji, that we forget and would go on enjoying in the materialistic world, forgetting about Lord. So we need to be more chiseled upon to reach the Goloka. Maybe.
Very nicely, you use the word chisel. So thank you, Mataji. So basically, Acharyas say that the bar is so high for one of the reasons, as Govardhan Prabhu also mentioned. See, what happens is that when you come to a stage where you have reached that perfection and you have become a devotee, actually becoming a bhakta, Krishna is now binded. So Krishna is getting controlled by the devotees. So when they come, they become pure devotees, right? Krishna is controlled because Krishna is Bhakta Vatsala. So he is controlled. So if you wanted to get controlled, you need to know the other person should be really having that kind of a qualification and attain such a level where he can control the Supreme Lord, who is controlling this entire universe. Millions of universes is controlling. And if you become a person controlling the Supreme Lord, you definitely have to get that kind of qualification. And that is the reason why the bar is so high. And definitely Bhakti Yoga is not an easy journey, But again, there is no other way for you to come out of these difficulties where you are in. So one has to really go there. Maybe not in this lifetime, but once you make the journey, you have to finally reach there. So utilize this human form of life such that you can really put that endeavor and enjoy that relationship which we are missing for millions and millions of lifetimes. So that's the reason why it is Krishna is clearly mentioning that out of so many men trying to get the perfection, endeavor for the perfection, only few achieve perfection, and out of which when you attain perfection also, knowing Krishna in toto is not easy. So because one last that thing, only Krishna will decides to reveal about himself, you cannot know it. And one of the things is that we are very fortunate to get this knowledge because this is coming through a very realized soul, that is Srila Prabhupada and the Guru Parampara. So that's our fortunate situation. Okay. So as some of you have doubts here, we'll also discuss this. So the rarely men achieve perfection. Out of perfected souls, rarely some understand Krishna. That's what we just told. And as Behra Prabhu also mentioned, a lot of people generally are interested in this animalistic propensities, fulfilling that. So very few go for the transcendental knowledge. They feel that it's waste of time. So, but actually they don't know that they are wasting their human form of life. Not forget about time. The human form of life itself they are wasting. So understanding Krishna, what happens is that you'll be able to see the absolute truth or get the absolute truth. Cause of all causes is who you will know, Supreme Personality of Godhead, all six opulences in full, etc., etc. And now the question here is, when can one be known by the process of Krishna consciousness engaged in the devotional service? And the process of devotional service is that, we have seen that Navayuga Bhakti marks are there where you can do it, and the Vedic literature explains about that. The Narada Pancharatra reveals how you can do your devotional service. See, unless and until you really understand Krishna through proper disciplic succession, you are not getting this Vedic knowledge. Then it is, if you read these Upanishads, Puranas, etc., etc., and try to implement it or try to do it on your own, it will be simply a disturbance to the society. See, you will see that a lot of people, and this guy, who is that one person, who is that person who was banned in India recently, that Muslim guy, one person is there. He has picked up some Puranas and some
Zakir Naik, Prabhuji.
that Zakir Naik, he picked up certain things, and he says that your Vedas say this, your Vedas say that, and what knowledge he has about just reading one or two things, he's a disturbance to the entire society. So good that people have outcasted him and thrown him out of the country. So there are so many other people also in in our country where they do not have this guru, they do not have the proper disciplic knowledge that has come to them. They read certain matters and they try to interpret on their own. They are just simply disturbance to the society. This Vedic literature has to be read under the supervision of the proper guru. Unless until you do that, you will be having, you will become a disturbance to the society. And we have seen that so many times. In so many people, especially in the north, you will see, not only north, in the south also, in Tamil Nadu and other places, that Nityananda, one Bogi is there, and there Ram Rahim, somebody is there. All these, they are going to tell only Bhagavad Gita, these kind of pastimes only. But again, those kind of people are disturbance to the society, though they are saying Vedic literature, that is not the thing that one should be following. And if you are following them, it is like three blind people going together and falling into the ditch. So that's like Malti Mataji, does it
Yes, Prabhuji,
answer your question?
Yes, yes, Prabhuji. Thank you.
So that is how you can say that you will become you should not become a disturbance to the society. When can you not become a disturbance to the society? Mataji, Malti Mataji, now you repeat.
Yes, Prabhuji. If we follow the authoritatives through the disabled succession, if we get that knowledge, we won't create any disturbance.
Right. Now, if I am telling some information, I say that I think. My intelligence is saying that this is what is the way that you should follow. That is not correct. Srila Prabhupada never said that. He said that whatever is coming from the Guru Parampara, as it is, I am giving you. Nothing adulteration I have done. So what happened to the Christian movement is that Jesus Christ has given certain instructions. And initially the Bible which has come, the instructions were more or less drafted in the same way. But later on, in the New Testament, and a lot of modifications have come. So this is where the problem comes. So we will now discuss about the second topic, everywhere. One second. So in this module, why this is not coming up? Excuse me. Okay. So the next verses 4 to 12, knowing Krishna as the source of both material and spiritual energies is what we will be seeing. And here a lot of information is given. Besides the earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego that comprise Krishna's material energy, there is Krishna's spiritual energy, which includes the jivas. Everything we see is a combination of Krishna's material and spiritual energies. Okay. Can somebody read the next three things here, 6 to 7, and all that what is mentioned there?
As the originator and dissolver of that which is manifest by these energies, no truth is superior to Krishna, for everything rests on him as pearls are strung on a thread. Knowing Krishna as the active principle controlling this world, Krishna is the taste appreciated within water. He is the fragrance of the earth, the intelligence of the intelligent, the powers of the powerful, and the strength of the strong. Summary: all stages of being, whether in goodness, passion, or ignorance, are manifest by Krishna's energy. Thus, Krishna is everything and controls everything, but still remains independent.
Thank you, Mataji. So, here, when we say everywhere, so by hearing from an authorized spiritual sources, one can acquire profound knowledge of the divine. So, there is no doubt about it. So one should not also think about in any other way to get this knowledge by hearing from the authorized spiritual sources only. Okay. Yeah. So most of the time people may ask a common challenging question. The common challenging question is that, can you show me God? So Krishna cites the analogy of the pearl strung on the thread. The pearls are perfectly strung and arranged as a necklace. You'll see that there is a sloka where the thread remains completely invisible. But the necklace is made, the thread is not visible, right? But that is how Krishna is there behind in each and everything, including an atom also Krishna is there. So, but he is not visible. So that's the thing. But what most of the people think is that since I cannot see it, so it doesn't exist. But spiritual things, what we are going to talk mostly, what Krishna is saying, spiritual energy is not seen. So you cannot be able to, it's invisible. And an immature observer may think that this everything is running by fluke, or by chance it is working. How can the earth move so precisely? How can the distance between the earth and the sun be so precise? If it is little closer also, we'll not be able to stay here. And if it is very far also, we cannot stay here. And the rotation also should be precisely that much only. If not, we cannot stay here. So somebody is there who is controlling all this, one should realize. Krishna further explains how is the essence of everything within this creation, the taste of the water, the light of the sun, and the ability in the man for begetting children. That is also, and the intelligence in a man or a woman is me. So in one way you can say that we are nothing. And all this is coming just because Krishna is there in each and every thing that we are doing. So everywhere Krishna is there. So what is the difficulty with this understanding? What is the difficulty for us to understand that Krishna is everywhere? Why is that we are not able to get this understanding? What do you think?
Because of Maya.
Because of Maya, because of the material nature, the conditioned nature. Yes, that's correct. See, you might have seen this one very nice movie, Bhakta Prahalad movie. Does somebody remember what Prahalad, when Hiranyakashipu asked Bhakta Prahalad, so you are so good. I tried to kill you, I tried to trouble you so much, but nothing is happening. What is this? Then Prahalad says that this is all because if Vishnu wants, he can do anything. And where is he? He is everywhere, he says. That's where this context comes. Does somebody remember that that Telugu Padyam? What Prahalad speaks? That sounds like Indu Galadandu Ledu Sandehamu Valadu.
Indu Galad Andu Ledandu Sandehamu Valadu Endendu Vetikina Andande Galadu.
Okay. That's not exactly correct, but again, you got the essence. Somewhere he says the Chakri Sarvan
Sarvopahatundu endendu vetkina andande galadu.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes.
So basically here what it is revealing by Bhakta Prahalad is that wherever Krishna is there everywhere, and wherever you want, if you see, he is there. So that's what is the context here. And in 7.4, the sloka says, Bhumi rapo nalo vayu kammano buddhi revacha ahankara mitiyam me binna pakrudi ashtada. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego, all together, these 8 constitute my separated material energies. What are the first 5? Bhumi. Bhumi means earth. Apo means Bhumi. Apo means water, I think. Bhumi, Apo. Nalo, Vayu means air. Kham, Buddhi Revacha. Buddhi Revacha, false intelligence, mind intelligence, and false ego. So these are the 8 constitute my separated material energies. So we'll see it in a very systematic way. So if you see Krishna, the plenary expansion, the plenary expansion. Can somebody remember? I told you about plenary expansion. Who is the first plenary expansion?
Balarama.
So from Balaram, what happens? Though we have put it as plenary expansion here, from Balaram you get to these Purusha incarnations come. The Mahavishnu, and actually if you read Bhagavatam first canto, all this information is there. Srila Prabhupada has put all this information in great detail. Purusha incarnation, Mahavishnu, who is Karnodakshai Vishnu, and from there he creates the total material energy, Mahatattva. This is little theoretical. Let's try to understand, because a lot of people think that Vishnu means only one Vishnu. So actually the Purusha incarnations are 3 Vishnus are there. One is Mahavishnu, who is called Karnodakshai Vishnu, and the second one is from Mahavishnu, Garbhodakshai Vishnu comes, okay, And from Garbhodakshai Vishnu, Kshirodakshai Vishnu, where the Kshirodakshai Vishnu is the one who is as the Paramatma in our, as part of our, he is there. So Karanodakshai Vishnu. See, and here he creates the total material energy, Mahatattva. And what happens is that the Garbhodakshai Vishnu enters into the every universe to create diversities. Diversities meaning here, so if you wanted to create different types of plants, and you wanted to create different types of species, all these diversities is what Garbhodakshai Vishnu does. Enters into each and every universe to create those diversities. And Karanodakshai Vishnu enters into every atom to maintain as super soul. So he goes, and within us also he is there as Paramatma, and he enters into each and every element of this particular universe which was created. So those who do not know Krishna and they think that material world is for enjoyment of living entities. They think that Dhammaro Dham, who has seen whether tomorrow is there, kal ho na ho, aaj enjoy karo. That kind of a mentality people are there. Living entities are Purusha. They think that living entities are Purusha, and they are the cause and the controller and enjoyer of the material energy. So this is the mentality of the Mudas. The people who do not have the right kind of knowledge will go into this kind of a attitude. Okay. Now this is very important. This is where some important things is revealed. Now from the material creation Prakriti, which is created, okay, and from this Prakriti, what happens is that in a temporary, first of all, this Prakriti is temporary. So it gets annihilated, and when its time frame is over, all activities directed by three Vishnus. All the three Vishnus play an important role in the material creation, as described here. What happens? Creation is done, and later on, the Garbhodakshai Vishnu enters into the universe. All these things, right? So the ingredients of the material world are separated energies of the Lord. And what are those energies? The material energies, separated energies, what is described in greater detail here. At a certain element level, mind, intelligence, and false ego is there. Okay, and the gross element levels, these are the things. The 5 elements, what we have just seen here, Bhumir, Napo, Nalo, Vayu, all these 5 elements, and from there the object of senses are there. There are 5: form, taste, touch, sound, smell. So these are the 5 object of senses, and the senses are also there. The eyes, basically these are linked. The eyes can see the form, the tongue can taste, the skin you can touch, you can feel the touch, the ears can hear the sound, the nose can smell things. So these are the senses, these are the objects of the senses. Okay, so they are interlinked. And now from these, the senses are there, they are working senses. The hands are working senses, legs, voice, anus, genitals. So these are totally, if you see here, there are 23 elements is what is mentioned here. 5 3s are 15 plus 16, 17, 18. Okay. So actually, you know what? Here there are 23 because the hand, there are 2 hands, etc., etc. I will show you in the next diagram. Any doubts here so far? Anything that you would like to clarify? Okay. So here Krishna is trying to give you the material world is made up of what? At a very high level, he has told how this entire existence has come, and later on he is trying to reveal that at a down level, what are we made up of? We are made up of these gross elements and subtle elements, and the gross elements are these, and these subtle elements are these.
Prabhuji, I have a doubt.
Go ahead, Mataji.
Prabhuji, this subtle elements and gross elements, what is this? Mahatattva is belong to only jivas or all other living species?
So
I mean, souls or the
so
bodies.
this is not Mahatattva, Mahat Tattva. There is a little difference. Mahat Tattva. So basically, all these senses, etc., are more to do with the living entities, jivas. Because see, what are we made up of? We are made up of the material and the spiritual, right? We know that there are three coverings of our body, or we have three bodies. What are those bodies? First is that we have a gross body, right? And this gross body is made up of all these. Is that making sense, Mataji?
Yes, yes, Prabhuji.
So this is the gross body, and it is made up of these many objects or elements, which we are talking about, elements you can say. And the subtle body is made up of these mind, intelligence, and false ego. And you also have your spiritual body, which is your spirit, soul, right? So these are three bodies that you have. And now the question may come, right, whether the subtle elements come under the gross body or subtle body. Come under the spiritual or material. Mind, intelligence, false ego.
No, Prabhuji, I'm asking mind, intelligence, and false ego related to only human body or any other body?
Any meaning, those who have the soul when it enters, then only it makes sense in that particular living entity, right? So if you are talking about a rock is there, does the rock have all these? It will have only the gross elements. Does it have any of these? The form, taste, touch, rock, or a stone, does it have any of these? Does it or no?
No, Prabhuji, no.
No, that is the reason. What we are saying is that so we, the jivas, have all these things. Maybe you talk about a worm. A worm is also a jiva, right? It also has some kind of a taste, some kind of a touch it has. When you wanted to try to harm a small living entity, it tries to escape. Because just before you are touching, it will fly away. Why? Because it has the sense. So all these senses are there, and that senses is what we are talking about, that each and every living entity has.
When the subtle elements also they have, Prabhuji, but less consciousness.
Yes, that is all. Because their mind is not so much matured, or you can't say that. But again, to a large, when you talk about dogs, their mind and their intelligence is much sharper in certain aspects. If you wanted to catch a thief by smell, but whether he committed that particular incident, what has happened, they have police dogs which we go and identifies just by smell, but who is the other person who was involved here, right? So, and when the earthquake happens, or before just earthquake happening, the birds get the signs much faster. How? Because their senses are more matured based on their capacity and their need. God has given them that way, right? We do have, but again, we are at a different level of having the complete maturity of that particular using those senses. There are people who might have got based on their whatever, but again, it all depends upon how much you want to utilize for what need. Now, suppose if some person is a blind person, okay, and that blind person, his sense of accuracy is much more. Suppose you give him some 50 rupees, he will tell you whether it is 50 rupees or 100 rupees or 20 rupees, because his sense will tell. His sense is based on the need, it got developed. That also happens. Got it, na? Okay, Mataji, I'll go further. So the gross elements, as we see here, the earth, water, fire, air, and ether, and the other knowledge acquiring senses. These are through which knowledge acquiring senses knows, you can gain the knowledge. And the spirit soul is you, okay, and the super soul is what we also have. And where does the super soul stay? Anybody? Where is the super soul?
Stage in the heart, Prabhuji.
Heart only.
He's there in the heart. Only heart, nowhere else.
From there, the whole body will move.
That agreed. Is he just there in the within like with us only, or is he there anywhere else? The super soul.
He is with every living entity, Prabhuji.
He is there with every living entity only, or he is there elsewhere also. That's where
Every atom, Prabhuji. In every atom.
He is there everywhere. The topic is everywhere. So the super soul, his presence is there everywhere. This in the as he is there in our body, this entire universe, if you see, he is there in the universe also. See, the universe has to run. As if the soul, super soul is not there, or the soul is not here, this body is dead. And similarly, if you take the universe, it is also running in such a way that unless and until the super soul is there, it will not able to run. And similarly, if you see an atom level, in the atom level, if the electrons have to move, where is that energy coming from? So there is some movement in the Parmanu level, the atomic level. You know that some of you are science students, you might be knowing the atoms revolve, and the electrons, neutrons, protons, all these are revolving. And who is giving that energy to revolve? That is where they made it and said that this is nothing but a God particle. There is something which is making them move. We don't know who that is, but there is some invisible thing that is called God particle, they said. And out of, by doing research for years together and spending so many crores and crores of rupees and digging a well-like thing to experiment, finally they came to that conclusion. That's like foolishness sometimes. All this is revealed in our scriptures. Instead of that, you should have approached any one of the ISKCON members. They would have told. They spent like crores of rupees on that. So again, here if you see, the 24 elements are described. The Mahabhuta, the 5 great elements: earth, water, fire, ether, and this thing, and 5 knowledge acquiring senses, 5 working senses, 5 objects of senses. And here, mind, intelligence, false ego, and unmanifested. So what is this unmanifested? Anybody could reveal? No? Okay, so what happens is that in addition to the mind, intelligence, and false ego, you have certain desires. Okay, those desires also come along with you. They are not part of your mind, they are not part of your intelligence, they are not part of your false ego generally. So those desires is what is also considered as unmanifested. That is also going to come along with you.
Is it Purvajanma Vasanalu, Prabhu?
You can say that. Yes, Mataji, that's correct. We call it as desires, vasanas, whatever. That is unmanifested. So that is also coming along with you. Yeah, thank you, Mataji. Okay, so again, the living symptom represented by consciousness and conviction manifests a subtle body, mind, intelligence, false ego. And interaction in the, we will in greater detail, we'll discuss this in the 13th chapter. The 13th chapter, 6th and 7th verse, you will see that all this is described by Krishna, and when we come there, we will discuss about more in detail. And the transformation, whether this particular human being is he really alive? But the test is that his consciousness is one, and what happens? The transformation in the in that particular person is that he's taking birth, he grows, he stays there for some time, and later on produces offsprings, and he dwindles. That means old age comes and death happens. So this is going to be true for each and every individual who is there in this material world. So that is what. Now they say that Krishna, when he came, he was Nava Yavvanamcha. That means he was like a 16-year-old boy only all the time. So though he was in the battlefield, he was 100 plus, but still he was like 16-year-old boy. So because this hold good for in the material sphere only, but in your spiritual sphere, nothing is going to be going through this, which is that, because that is permanent and this is non-permanent. Okay, so few more slokas we'll see.
So Prabhuji, one question.
Yeah,
what is that FOA in that slide?
This one, field of activity, FOA. So we will discuss that in more detail, Kshetra and Kshetrajna. So that concept will be discussed in the 13th chapter.
Okay.
Is that field of activity? That is, see, all these things have to come together to make certain things, right? So that is called field of activity, Kshetra, Kshetrajna. So that the things we will discuss. But for now, you need to know that there are 24 material elements, and this is what it is. And those interactions and other things we will discuss. Apareyam itastvam anyam prakritim vidhime param jiva bhutam mahabaho yedham darayet jagat. Besides these, O mighty armed Arjuna, there is another superior energy of mind which comprises the living entities who are exploiting the resources of this material inferior nature. So this is what he is going to discuss. Basically, Krishna is trying to reveal two things. He is going to say that there are material, this whatever you see, it is made up of material and as well as spiritual. There are two kind of things, and he is going to describe in greater detail. Here in the next one, all created beings have their source in these two natures of all that is material and all that is spiritual in this world. Know from certain that I, this is very important, know for certain that I am both the origin and the dissolution. So he is the origin for spiritual as well as the material. So now this goes in little more detail about that. What is, see, our modern science also says that everything is energy. And Krishna's energies, the Shaktis, whatever he has, can be divided into three categories. First is the Antaringaka Shakti, Tatashta Shakti and Bahiranga Shakti. There are three. The first Antaringaka Shakti are the internal potency of the Supreme Lord, from where three different categories have come. Sandhini Shakti, and Samvit Shakti, and Hladini Shakti. So the Sandhini Shakti is the Sat, this is Chit, and this is Ananda, potency wise. So basically, eternality, the spiritual world, is created by the Sandhini Shakti of the Supreme Lord. Okay, I know it is so theoretical, but just try to remember whatever you can, but not to be worried if you do not understand everything. The Samvit Shakti is the knowledge cognitive part. Krishna knows about himself. Krishna knows about everyone. Living entity can know about Krishna. So that is the thing that you need to know about the Samvit Shakti, the knowledge cognitive. Chit means knowledge. You know that Sat, Chit, Ananda. Chit means knowledge. The complete knowledge Krishna has. And we only have a certain knowledge. And now living entity can know about Krishna because this Samvik Shakti is also can help us to get that knowledge. And Hladini Shakti, Ananda, bliss, pleasure potency. Srimati Radharani is the Hladini Shakti Murti, Ananda or bliss or pleasure potency. Krishna and Jiva gets this transcendental bliss. The Bhakti Prema is Hladini Swarupa. So basically, we know that we all Jivas, basically we our true nature is that Satchid Ananda, we say that, right? And once you come to that platform, you will be able to experience this Satchidananda, and in that Satchidananda what you can experience is what is told here. So when you attain the right kind of a this thing, you will be able to experience that. So you will be qualified to go to this spiritual world, and when you go to the spiritual world, you will have complete knowledge about Krishna, which is coming from the chit part, which is complete knowledge, and you will experience the supreme bliss, which is also the pleasure potency of Krishna, which is coming from the Antaringa Shakti. The Tatastha Shakti, which is the marginal potency of the Supreme Lord, which is the middle part. Middle. It is not Antaringa, it is not Bahiranga, it is Tatastha, marginal. So the souls, jivas are made from this particular Shakti, and that's where they come. And the Bahiranga Shakti, the inferior energy of the Supreme Lord, this material world is created where the gross element and subtle elements are there, etc., etc. And exploiting the material world in the conditioned state is what if Jiva is doing with interacting with the material world. But finally, when he realizes that this is not his right place to stay, when he comes back, then he will be able to experience this Satchidananda. The liberated means free from the material illusion, I and mine. That's what. Any questions so far? I think we'll see 2 more slides.
Prabhuji, in this slide, I have doubt.
Go ahead.
Prabhuji, we are the part and parts of Krishna. So we are from marginal energy. But do we have any tinge of this internal energy, Prabhuji? The qualities of this internal energy in our soul?
No, basically, the soul is made, basically, what it means here, what I understand is that Krishna's energies can be divided into 3, and with the Antaringa Shakti of the Supreme Lord, so this spiritual world has been created. 1, Sat, which is eternal. So this material world is non-eternal, non-permanent, but the spiritual world is permanent, and there is no destruction for that. The material world gets destroyed after certain cycles, we know that. So that is one thing. So the question what you are asking is that do we Jivas have these qualities? Actually, right now we do not have. But once you go to the Dham, or you get the qualification to go to the Dham, in one way you are going to get all these. You will have complete knowledge about Krishna, and you will have the supreme bliss, and which will with which you do not want it to come and enjoy the material nature as we are doing now. Unless until you have this Ananda, the supreme bliss, you will not hanker for anything else, because this is the highest. And similarly, the knowledge wise, you have the complete knowledge. So yes, you do have. Yeah.
Okay, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So we'll move further. So again, this can also be divided into the spiritual and material, para and apara. Para Shakti, apara Shakti. Para Shakti again is divided into the Antaringa and Tatastha, what we have seen earlier. The eternity, that means this doesn't get destroyed. Such means it is forever. This is called Sandhini Shakti, and where the spiritual world is created by that. And knowledge, and Krishna knows about himself and everyone, and living entity can know about Krishna. So this is because of the Samvik Shakti, the Chit part. And Hladini, we have already seen this. So the pure love of God is coming from this Hladini Shakti. And we also pray to Srimati Radharani because to get that pure love of God, she is the Murti, or she is the embodiment for giving you that particular knowledge, that particular pure love of God. So we can pray for her mercy. So this is from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela 6.157 to 160. We have extracted this information. Okay, so the Apara Shakti is lacking in consciousness, but it is inferior, and it's Bahiranga, so basically external material world. Okay, shall we move then? Okay. All the created beings have their source in these two natures of all that it is material and all that is spiritual in this world. So we have discussed this. And Krishna, so basically the source and origin of the dissolution, everything is a product of matter and spirit. And the spirit created the matter. The spirit created by matter. What does that mean? And because of the spirit, due to the presence of the soul, 6 transformation of material and material body is happening, and the factories, skyscraper buildings, cities, etc. are built. Can somebody interpret this? What do you understand from this? What are these arrows? Spirit created by matter. What does that mean? Venkat Prabhu, Behra Prabhus, and Gordhan Prabhu and Mataji's. Anybody? We'll end in next couple of minutes. Any idea? No? So basically, here it is saying that, so most of the time what happens is that this foolish theory of modern chemists, they say that life can be produced from chemicals or chemical interactions. See, the birth of the human beings, the material body takes place due to the mixture of this ovum, which is coming from the mother, and the semen from the father. But by the history of this birth also, you can see that although the woman and semen mix together after having the interaction, there is not always a pregnancy that happens. Unless the soul enters the mixture, there is no possibility of pregnancy. But when the soul takes the shelter of the mixture of the whatever that is there in the body, then only the birth can happen. Once the birth happens, then they exist for a certain time, and the baby can grow, and the transformation happens, and the baby moves into an age where they dwindle. That means old age comes, and ultimately they get vanished. So the whole point, what is driving here, is the spirit is driving the matter, not the other way around. So because what we are trying to put here is that you cannot take anything and produce it in the lab. Two chemicals, when you put it, does it give rise to a child? It doesn't happen. So if you ask a pinpointed question, can a scientist create a mosquito in the lab? Can a scientist create a mosquito in the lab?
No.
Why?
It is living, Prabhuji. We cannot create living.
Because the scientists do not have the power to put the soul into the entity, whatever is there. See, the soul part has to come from the permission of the Supreme Lord. You cannot make the soul enter into whichever entity we are talking about. I don't know, there are so many doctors here, they might reveal what the test tube babies, how are they formed? Priti Mataji, Dr. Lata Mataji's, and other doctors whosoever are there, intellectuals. How is this test tube babies formed? Now, maybe it is wrong. Then here they are saying that the spirit has to enter. The spirit means the soul has to enter into that. Then only the things can happen. But how are these test tube babies born then? Anybody? This is a general phenomena, right? Test tube babies, we achieved this, we achieved that. That kind of thing is always told. No ideas?
Prabhuji,
Yeah, go ahead. Somebody was saying something. Mataji's, Prabhuji's, go ahead. There's nothing right and wrong.
Prabhuji, what about we as doctors do is we say that the cells start to live, and in that cell when the small fetus is growing, we make it grow outside, give the condition in such a way that the embryo starts to grow as a baby from the sperm and ova. So the conducive atmosphere, so hundreds might be tried and only one would be successful type.
Okay, you are giving that environment instead of the mother's womb, you are giving the environment in a different way. But again, the soul entering is not in your hand. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
It may tell many times it is not in though the best of the conditions are being given, or it is most conducive, it may fail also, and it fails many times.
Right. That is what. And in fact, we are all adults, so we know that. So there are so many times the ovum and the semen gets the opportunity to mix, but pregnancy doesn't happen. Because finally, once the soul enters, then only it takes into a form of a jiva. So that we need to understand. So the spirit is what is driving the matter, not the other way around. That's the whole point. The arrow is only from this direction. Not that we have created this and this combination, and you are dictating the spirit, the soul to come and sit here. The other way, the soul will decide in which one I should go and fit in. Whether I should be taking my life in this particular womb or this particular womb, it's not you decide. That is decided by somebody else. That is what we call that Krishna is based on the nature's law. He will tell you where to go and take your birth. Okay, so when the spirit is there, the 6 transformation of the material body will happen. That we discussed, all the 6 transformation. And you might, being a spiritual, since you have the spirit, so you can create big factories, skyscraper buildings, cities, etc. You just, they do not come on their own. That's what it is. Okay, so this we already see in material world, created and maintained by 24 elements, and the 3 Vishnus, the super soul is also there. Okay, so we will end for today here. If you have any other questions, we'll take up. If not, we'll end. So what we have discussed is that today we have discussed that Krishna is there everywhere, and we have seen that in our own body Krishna is there, and as a Paramatma he is there, and the Jivatma is there, Paramatma is also there, and we are able to say that we are living because 6 transformations are happening in our body, which starts with birth, and we stay there for some time, and later on we give birth to offsprings, and we tend to dwindle. That means old age happens and we vanish. So this happens to each and every living entity, and these 6 transformations do happen. So, and we see that Krishna's energies can be divided into 2, para and apara. Para means spiritual, apara means material, and we have discussed that in greater detail, that Sachidananda is in the Shakti, which is Antarikanga Shakti, Bahiranga Shakti, and Tatashta Shakti, which is in the middle. So we come under the souls. The jivas are created from the Tatashta Shakti, which is all spiritual energy of the Supreme Lord. So that's where we are all coming, right? So that we conclude the second section of the 7th chapter, knowledge of the absolute. We got knowledge of the absolute to some extent, but in next few classes, in the next class we will discuss more about the other 2 who are so basically the acronym HEAD. H stands for hearing, E stands for everywhere, and A stands for what does A stand for?
Accept or reject.
Accept or reject. And so the last one is D for anybody?
Demigods.
Demigods. So those are the why some people worship demigods, and what they are supposed to do, and why is that they are able to only worship the demigod, not somebody else. Why, what kind of a mindset they have, etc., etc. Krishna reveals, and he will reveal that who are these demigods and who is he. So that distinction he is going to make. If not, our culture says that everybody is God. That's one notion. The other says that Shiva, Brahma, Parvati, Ganesha, Kartikeya, and Krishna all are same. This kind of a notion we come across. So, somebody has any question, or if not, we'll end for today. We'll do a short kirtan and end. Any questions anybody has?
Prabhuji, I have one question.
Go ahead, bro.
So we said that Ashtanga Yoga is very difficult, and that's why Bhakti Yoga is easy, and we can reach our destination using Bhakti Yoga. But again, we are saying that the bar is very high, and it is not easy for everyone, and only a few get there. So it is a little conflicting.
Right. See, first of all, let us say this. See, did we say that Bhakti Yoga is easy and Ashtanga Yoga is difficult? In one sense, yes, that's what we told. But let me qualify that. See, Bhakti Yoga is difficult because attaining and reaching to Goloka, but through this process or this process, it is a Herculean task, no doubt about it. But what happens is that in the Bhakti Yoga process, you are not just depending upon your own endeavor. So that's the beauty. Understand one thing. See, though it is a very difficult process, the process is a strenuous process. That means you need to really to reach there. It will take some time, probably, definitely. But again, all this can be happening much easier when Krishna decides that, okay, let me take him to Goloka. That movement can happen anytime. One. The second thing is that you might be taking some baby steps, but you are not really toiling yourself by a rigorous process. You are doing it in an enjoyable mode. See, Bhakti Yoga is, it goes like, I'll tell you, I don't know, but I'm just giving a mundane example. Suppose you are in a college and you just had, I'm just guessing, and you had some crush about a boy or a girl, and you wanted to spend some time with that boy or a girl, right? I'm just giving a mundane example. And now when you meet, you never knew that when 2 hours, 3 hours passed, you feel that it is just few seconds only happened. So why? Because you are so much involved and you are enjoying that process, right? So when in Bhakti Yoga, they say that it is a very enjoyable process. So when you are doing that, you never know when time. See, if you are asked to sit for 2 hours for any other class, you wouldn't have sat for so much time. Now we started around 7:30, it is 9 now, but still you are attentively asking questions and you are getting involved. That means this process is a joyful process, and it may take maybe 100 or 150 more lifetimes, but still it is an enjoyable process. And so you can really take it up. That this is with my understanding, which is what I got to based on some readings that I have done. Right. So what is Ashtanga Yoga and that particular process, that you are depending solely on yourself. One. And you never know whether you are taking it in the right way or wrong way. because you do not have the guru. If you have the guru also, he is not coming from any disciplic succession at this point of time. You do not have the right kind of Ashtanga yogis who can guide you to go back to Goloka. You again back to Goloka through Ashtanga yoga process is also possible. That's not we are denying. But again, the chances are that he may get deviated because you do not have the right kind of a guru and you are depending upon yourself, not on the mercy of the guru or the guidance of the guru. You are not there. I don't know, Prabhu, if I have answered it as per your need or to address your question. Making sense, Venkat Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji. Maybe Bhakti Yoga is more practicable in this age and time compared to Ashtanga Yoga, so we can say like that. And it is.
Yeah, in one way you are right, but again, I need to check myself. See, if you are in Satya Yoga and you had the right kind of environment where you can do your Ashtanga Yoga, but when you have the Bhakti Yoga, why don't I take Bhakti Yoga when I am in Satya Yoga also? What's wrong? It's an enjoyable process. Instead of sitting like this in a deer skin for thousands of years, well, why don't I take up the Bhakti Yoga? Right. So, but again, there are that Ashtanga Yoga and meditation and that kind of thing were conjugal for that particular yuga, and not at all for this yuga. But Bhakti Yoga, I think it is applicable for any yuga. Again, this is my understanding. I need to get back to you. But we can have some discussion if you want. Anybody, is that making sense? Maybe there are percentage wise there might be less, but again Ashtanga yogis in this particular yuga, but the numbers are not what is more important, but this yoga process would be there in each and every yuga. Yeah, Preeti Mataji.
The Ashtanga Yoga, the process is more not suited to this way of life for us. Maybe it was okay for the, as you said, yoga. Because in our this life, even if we think so of doing that, as you said, we don't have the proper guru and the disciplinic succession of teaching it, and it is quite an arduous process to do the different yogas and do that. And bhakti process might be very easy as we do that seva, swadhyaya and sadhana. Anywhere we can do and do that bhakti.
Right, and it's a very joyful process. What I mean to say is that this is a very joyful process. There, it is not so joyful process. You are just mechanically doing things. There also, you might be enjoying doing meditation because you are thinking about the Supreme Lord. But here, you are doing it as part of your day-to-day activities. You are not specifically going to a secluded place and then doing it. You are just doing it as part of your life. And if you see Bhagavatam, also you see that Bhakti Yoga's process was there. They are also doing all these and especially the Sankirtan movement given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Why he is very merciful? Because he has given that to us and we are able to enjoy that entire process of Bhakti. So especially by the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra Sankirtan movement. I was thinking sometime back, if I were asked to read only Bhagavad Gita and do nothing other than reading only, then I wouldn't have experienced this joy. See, it's a, and mercifully Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come and inaugurated this, where we are doing all three, Sevas, as Preeti Mataji, Sevas, Swadhyaya and Sadhana. All three we are doing it and enjoying. And this is what is Bhakti Yoga. Right? All three we are doing. Okay, no other question, concerns, then we'll end for today. It's already 9. So we'll do short kirtan and then Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Mahamantra ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Grantaraj Shri Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Have a good weekend, rest of the week, whatever new week that is going to start. See you tomorrow morning for the Japa session, and as well tomorrow evening's program. It is scheduled that others will be taking. I will also be there, but it is to be driven by all of you. Those who wanted to take the opportunity to do this Food for Soul sessions, please message it to me. We'll try to accommodate accordingly. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.